it loudly to motivate me. A very good morning to all of you. So, firstly, I want to give my sincere thanks to Director General Sir for giving me an opportunity to speak in such a kind of workshop, that is statistical tools to monitor quality. I think and I hope that we are going to gain something from it after the completion of the session, and even I hope that after tomorrow you are able to apply the circle model in different context. So this my basically presentation consisting of two parts. Firstly, I will be starting up with some theoretical concepts related to my model of service quality that I have developed. I have developed basically a modified circle model. So firstly, I will start with some of the basic concepts and the theoretical concepts, so that you will be aware about what exactly this model is and how we can use it in different service quality context. And after that, I will show you some of the techniques, statistical techniques we can use. And in the tomorrow's session, we are going to apply practically on the SPSS these techniques. So let's start with the introduction part. Sure, we are waiting. Sure, sir, we are waiting. No problem, sir. कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. ठीक. So we'll discuss with you. Okay. So let's start with the introduction part. Basically, I want to share with you some of the things that I have learned in the educational summit that held last month in FICCI. That was Vision 2050. And that has included the achievements of Indian educational system. So I want to share that basically. I want to start from that so that we can know how we are achieving and what we are achieving in Indian educational system. So over the last decade, Indian business and management institutions have experienced an increasing number of undergraduate and postgraduate management students in the hope of obtaining high quality education. So India seems to have entered into the golden age of higher education. Many various progressive steps that were being taken in the 12th, 13th and 14th 5-year plans have come to fruition. Our country has emerged as a global magnet for aspiring learners and a role model for high quality affordable educational system. So I want to share some of the things over here that was being shared by someone in the educational summit in FICCI, that was Vision 2050, and you see today India is the single largest provider of global talent, with 1 in 4 graduates in the world being a product of the Indian system. India is among top 5 countries globally in cited research output. Its research capabilities boosted by annual R&D spends totaling over $140 million. India is in the 4th cycle of its research excellence framework, with at least 100 of Indian universities competing with the global best. 23 Indian universities are among the global top 200, going from none to 2 decades ago. 2 decades ago it was none. Now 23 Indian universities are among the global top 200. In the last 20 years alone, 6 Indian intellectuals have been awarded the Nobel Prize across categories. We usually read these things in the newspaper, but it was being compiled over here. India is a regional hub for higher education, attracting global learners from all over the world. The country has augmented its GER to 50% while also reducing disparity in GER across states to 5 percentage points. Can anyone know what is this GER? Gross enrollment ratio. No, it's 50%. That is the current data given by the FICCI. The Indian higher education system is needs blind, with all eligible students receiving financial aid. 2/3 of all government spendings towards higher education is spent on individuals, including faculty and students. India's massive open online courses, started by several allied research universities, collectively enroll 60% of the world's entire student population. So these are some of the amazing facts about Indian educational system. Indian higher education institutions are governed by the highest standards of ethics and accountability, with every single one of them being peer reviewed and accredited. So, to sum up, the 3 tiers of Indian universities produce among the best in class knowledge creators, problem solvers and process managers, who also display deep sense of social, cultural and ecological sensitivities. Basically are the collaborative leaders and responsible citizens. In effect, the Indian graduates of today are not only an excellent human resource, but also an admirable human being. So if we study the previous researches that are basically being done on this quality management tools, quality measurement models, if we study these past researches, these researches reveal that the quality in higher education can be interpreted and measured in a number of different ways. Just remember this thing, you will find lot of techniques, different kind of techniques in which the quality can be measured. As such, as there is still no universal consensus on how best to manage quality within higher education. And a variety of quality management models have been implemented in various higher education institutions. Now the model I am going to display, this model of me, that will provides an analytical review of different approaches to quality management adopted or tested. And this model of me basically begins with the discussion on the nature of quality in higher education. Firstly, we discuss कि what can be the nature, what should be the nature, कैसा होना चाहिए क्वालिटी हमारा, किस प्रकार की सर्विसेज हम प्रोवाइड करें. तो दिस मॉडल ऑफ माई विल स्टार्ट विद द discussion on the nature of quality in higher education and then implication of this for the management of quality. So if I talk about the higher education, this higher education is facing pressure to improve value in its activities. The present tenet for enhancing educational value is to expand the efforts on continuous improvement. That is the very first point. If we have to expand the educational value, is to basically expand the efforts on continuous improvements, to focus on the interest of shareholders and to increase student satisfaction. Why to increase student satisfaction? Because the student satisfaction is often used to assess the quality management. Basically, this is the only thing that we are using. The student satisfaction is used for assessing the quality management. The limited number, as we know that the limited number of state funded institutions and diminishing funds in higher education has caused the government to has caused the mushrooming of private institutions in our country. As we know that the state funded institutions are very less, due to which the mushrooming of private institutions has occurred in our country. Therefore, students have a wide range of options to choose from which of the institution to pursue their interest. As we know that the parents and their students has to bear the expenditure of their education, so they deserve to get the best quality education, so that they could make their own ways in life and career. So therefore, quality has become the competitive weapon for institution in higher education to serve and attract their primary stakeholders. No, it's okay, sir. No problem. Now let's start with the measuring service quality. I think introduction part is clear to everybody. I have given some introduction related to our achievements and then what exactly the quality in higher education, and we can assess the quality in higher education in a number of ways, and different tools are available. Past researches shows that different tools are still available, so that we can, so this model of me basically that will provide you about the nature and what kind of things we can adopt.
I have doubt about your last point. Last point you said 100%. Most of the higher education institutes are funded by government. Most of it. But now since they have opened it to private, that is why the private universities have come up.
Yeah.
So, but earlier funding was mostly by.
Yeah, earlier the funding was mostly by the.
Whatever they funded, that kind of institutions
Yeah.
Came up.
Yeah.
And subsequently, when it was not up to date, or it was not up to the required level, then the private was given an opportunity to come up.
Yeah.
That is why they have come up.
Okay, we try to incorporate such points in that also.
It is not the government has not been able to fund it even for, but it has been a policy of funding all the higher education institutions by UGC at all times.
Yeah.
The mushrooming has come up not because of this is because of the policy shift.
Yeah.
Policy shift of the government, you should have now private participation.
Basic thing is that there were limited number of seats in the state funded institution. Due to that, the mushrooming of institutions has come.
The mushrooming connotation is that कुछ चुपके से in a sly way has come up. Mushrooming, it is an organized policy, part of the policy framework. इस तरह से private are being given opportunity now to bring the private capital in this higher education.
Yeah, ठीक है sir.
अभी मेरा तो सोचता है
Okay, I will try to incorporate and now coming to the measuring service quality. So let's be aware about the general concepts of quality. To achieve quality as perceived by the consumer, proactive organizational commitment is required. Services plays an important role in enhancing value and can positively influence the success of a firm. From a customer perspective, a provider service can help to offset potential burdens like paying high prices for a particular brand or like making purchases from a particular retail outlet that is being located at an inconvenient location. So as a result, understanding and measuring customer expectation and perception are therefore an essential component that can be used to enhance a company's service provision. In analyzing these services from the customer perspective, these problems as arises. So in analyzing the services from the customer perspective, a research was done by Parasuraman in the year 1988. So that model basically yielded a concept of 10 potentially overlapping dimensions. At that time, in 1988, when Parasuraman has given the concept of service quality, he has given the 10 potentially overlapping dimensions. So service quality is basically the gap between expectation and perception of customer. Are you understanding expectation and perception? Then these basically 10 overlapping dimensions that was given by Parasuraman in the year 1988 served as a framework structure of a service quality measurement instrument. That instrument is called SERQUAL. 1988 it was being discovered by Parasuraman in his research, and he has given 10 potentially overlapping dimensions. What were these 10 potentially overlapping dimensions? These 10 potentially overlapping dimensions were, first one was tangibles. This tangible includes appearance of physical facilities, equipments, personnel and communications materials. Then reliability. Reliability includes ability to perform the promised service dependably and accurately. Third is responsiveness. Responsiveness means how willingness to help customers and provide prompt service. Then competence. Competence include possession of the required skills and knowledge to perform this service. Then fifth one is courtesy. Courtesy includes politeness, respect, consideration and friendliness of contact personnel. Then we have sixth one, that is credibility. Credibility includes trustworthiness, believability, honesty of the service provider. Seventh one was security. Security, freedom from risk or doubt. Eighth is access. Access includes approachability and ease of contact. Ninth is communication. Communication include keeping customers informed in language they can understand and listening to them. 10th one is understanding the customer. Understanding the customer include making the effort to know customer and their needs. Now if we talk about this service quality model, that is SERQUAL, if we talk about this SERQUAL instrument represent a multi-item scale that can be used for measuring expectation and perception of the customer as perceived among the customers. Just remember this. We are talking about the expectation and perception of the customer, and both the things are being perceived by the customer itself. Okay. Then in developing this, basically this model as a research tool, extensive statistical analysis has been done, and they found a significant correlation among different dimensions. So which makes them to regrouped into, so these are 10 dimensions basically that was initially given. So जब statistical analysis करा गया, correlation निकाला गया, तो it was being found that कि कुछ जो इसमें dimensions हैं, they have some matching. So they are being regrouped together and they form the service quality model is being formed by the 5 dimensions, which includes tangibles, responsiveness, assurance, reliability, and empathy. And over the last 15 years, in 1988 it was being discovered, from the last 15 years this framework have been used by the various practitioners and researchers for measuring the service quality. Even I have written 12 research papers on basically on this tool. I have used all this only tool in measuring the service quality in different contexts. I will show you also. Now let's understand what exactly this circle model was that was being given by Parasuraman. So this model was given by A. Parasuraman in USA in the year 1988. This model of service quality identifies the reason for any gap between expectation and perception of the customers. You see the gaps are there. Firstly, look at the gap 1. That one, gap 1. Gap 1 is the gap between the customer expects and what the company's management thinks customer expect. That is, there is a mismatch between the expectation of the customer and the thinking of the management about the expectation of the customer. That is the gap 1. Okay, then see gap 2. If you see this gap 2 is the gap that occurs when management fails to design service standards that meet the expectation of the customer. So gap 1 was between the thinking, and gap 2 when the management fails to design the services as per the specified standard of, as per the expectation of the customer. Then you see there is a gap 3. Gap 3 occurs when the company's service delivery system. What comes under company's service delivery system? People, technology, and processes. These things are failed to deliver to the specified standards. That is the reason of occurrence of gap 3. Then gap 4. Gap 4 occurs when the company's communication with customers promise a level of service performance, basically like people, technology, and processes, they cannot deliver as per the promises. So when the communication fails, so that is the reason for gap 4. Now if you see this gap 5, this gap 5 is the product of all these gaps, gap 1, gap 2, gap 3, and gap 4. You see a line over here that is dividing consumer from a provider, and you see all the gaps are below this line. So if all these 4 gaps are closed, then automatically the gap 5 will close. This was the model that was being given by the Parasuraman about the to measure the service quality. Yeah, he is living. Even you want to know more on YouTube, you can type his name and listen to his lectures also. Questions will come later, that will be better. Then to find the level and extent of this gap, basically this gap number 5, in order to find the level and extent of this gap, a 22 item circle scale was developed. On the basis of this, a 22 item circle scale was developed. This model identifies 5 core competencies dimensions: tangibles, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, and empathy. On the basis of that, a 22-item circle scale was being developed. Now, these tangibles include appearance of physical facilities, equipments, personnel, and communication materials. Reliability. Reliability is ability to perform the promised service dependably and accurately. This is the modified model of Parasuraman. उसने खुद ही मॉडिफाई करा उसे रीग्रुपिंग करके. पहले हमने 10 डायमेंशंस को पढ़ा. Now we have 5 dimensions. Then responsiveness. Responsiveness means willingness to help customers and to provide prompt service, whilst capturing the notion of flexibility and the ability to customize the service to customer needs. Then assurance. Assurance means competence and courtesy of employees and their ability to convey trust and confidence. Now, fifth one is empathy. Empathy represents provision of caring, individualized attention to customers. So these are the now modified 5 dimensions of Parasuraman. Now the relative importance of these variables were also measured, which enables us to compute the relative importance of any gap between the customer expectation and perception. So management can then focus on strategies and tactics to close these gaps. Now this circle model can be used to measure the service quality in a variety of service settings. Another advantage is that it can be used to compare competitors and wide range of services. As last week I was discussing with Mr. Nitin, he was doing some research work on comparing the different insurance companies. So we were discussing about this thing at that time. So this method could be used for internal marketing. It is based on idea that every individual in an organization, particularly in a service organization, should recognize that they have customer to serve. There is a positive link between internal service quality and external service quality.